But I think the biggest brush with process was when I built an e-commerce store in Indonesia, because that's what you do when you're 25. And
Random.
The idea of staying in a stable job scared me more than leaving.
It took me a very long time to get my name out in the I mean, well, comparatively not long, because I've just been here for 19 months.
Well, I was going to say, you've only been here for 19 months, but not that very long. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of She's the Boss. If you are new to the channel and you haven't already done so, please make sure that you click subscribe to make sure that you're the first to know when a new video is released. And also, if you find this video useful and this video series useful, please share within your networks. Today, I am joined by impact coach Rianne Klein Geltink. Rianne, thank you for having us. Now, I think you're the person that I've interviewed who is the furthest afield. You're in Bali, right? Yeah. So,
I am.
And what time is it in Bali?
Currently, it's 7 p.m.
Well, it's 11 a.m. Sorry.
A.m.
So thank you so much for joining me this evening. So tell us a little bit more about what you do. For those who don't understand what a social impact coach is, let us know.
Yeah, so I founded a company called Impact Business Space, which is an online group coaching membership for startup social entrepreneurs. And I teach them and I empower them with the commercial skills and commercial confidence so they can build thriving social enterprises that fund the causes that they really care about. So I guide them basically. I'm a business coach, but specifically for social entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't understand what a social entrepreneur is, which I hope if you're watching this, you should, but would you like to tell everybody what that is? What is social entrepreneur?
Yeah, I agree with you. Everybody should know, but unfortunately we're not there yet. But yeah, a social enterprise is a, well, my definition, there are many definitions out. My definition is a social enterprise is a for-profit business, but the profit is a means to an end, meaning the whole purpose of the company is to create long-term sustainable change, positive change in our world. So pretty much every social entrepreneur out there started their business not with the mission to make money, but with the mission to uplift humanity or our planet in some shape or form. They're usually very pissed off about something. They're very passionate about seeing positive change. And they decided to create a revenue generating or profit generating vehicle, a business, to create that change or to contribute to that change. Yeah.
And how did you come to work with social enterprises? What was your journey?
Yeah, so I am Dutch by design. I live in Bali right now, but I was born and raised in the Netherlands. And for about a decade ago, I started my own business. And it was a management consulting firm, and it was with a business partner. We had a team of people, and we served corporate clients, and I now call them the just for money sector, the corporate sector. And in 2016, in September of 2016, I just finished a big consulting job, and I was like, I need a change. We all have those phases, right? You're like, I don't know. I don't know if this is what I want to do the rest of my life. I just turned 40, so maybe that helped. And so I was searching, and I decided to take a break, to take a sabbatical leave. So 2017 was supposed to be my sabbatical leave, and my plan was to travel to Australia and to sort of like rediscover myself, rediscover my purpose, what did I want in life, and also just to enjoy, traveling. So that's what I did in January 2017. I flew to Perth, bought a car, started to travel, and I absolutely hated it. I hated everything about it. It was the loneliest experience of my life. In hindsight, I learned so much, but while I was there, it was horrible. So 7 weeks in, I was crying every day, and I was like, oh, why did I do this? But once I made up my mind, I'm not stopping. That's who I am. Until one of my best friends said, Rianne, what are you doing? This was supposed to be fun. So I decided, okay, I need a change. So I flew to Bali, and I thought I was just going to be there for a month. But then in Bali, I discovered two things. Number one was social entrepreneurship. And number two was this whole entire, like a huge community of location independent entrepreneurs. Another word is digital nomads. And both sort of like caught me by surprise, and I was mesmerized. And social entrepreneurship, I met two of them while I was here in Bali. That was in March 2017. And it so clicked in my head because unconsciously for about 2 decades working in the corporate sector, I always questioned what the meaning of making money was beyond what we need, what the bigger purpose was of making money. I never really understood why in the corporate world we were like the mission was to create shareholders value. Like, yeah, okay, and then what? You know, what is, yeah, if shareholders become really rich, then what? So, and with social entrepreneurship, I found my answer, because a social entrepreneur creates a business, but the mission of the business is to do good in the world. And I was just sold. So over the course of just a few weeks, I made a few very drastic decisions. Like in the moment, they didn't feel drastic, but in hindsight, they were pretty drastic, because I decided to fly back, to cut my sabbatical short, fly back home, leave my business, rent out my home long-term, fly back to Bali, and start a new business that would start a new online business that would serve social entrepreneurs in their journey to success. And that's what I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just led to so many questions, but I think the first question is, when you initially decided to take the sabbatical
Right.
and just go to Australia, where did that kind of fearlessness come from? And there's clearly an ingrained fearlessness in you, because you did it to go to Australia, and then you've done it by moving to Bali. And although many of us do have that I fancy a change kind of moment, we don't necessarily give up everything and go traveling to the other side of the world or move to another country and start a business. So where did that sense of fearlessness come from?
Well, actually, it wasn't even, well, obviously it was my idea, but it sparked because, like I said, in September 2016, I was like, And in November, 2 months later, I was in a bar with a friend, and I was complaining to him. I was like, I don't know what I want, you know, negative mood. And I was complaining, and he just stopped me. We were having drinks, and he just stopped me, and he looked me in the eyes, and he says, Rianne, what do you want in your heart? And that question just threw me, because I was such, and I say was because I changed a lot the last 2 years, but I was such a analytical, you know, A-type woman, like always go, always thinking, you know, your mind never stops, very disconnected from my emotions. And that question, like, what does your heart want? I was completely like, I don't know what my heart wants. And he just wouldn't let it go. He says, yes, you do. And then all of a sudden, something inside me it moved. And I said to him, I want to travel. He says, great, where do you want to go? I said, Australia. I had no idea, but it just came out of me. And he says, great, when are you going? And then, you know, the bullshit reasons come up. Like, I can go, I have a business, I have a house, I have responsibilities. And he said, that's just, come on, it's bullshit. You can do whatever you want. And as I drove home that night, obviously an idea was planted in my head. And the next day, it was a Friday afternoon, and I decided to clear my schedule. And I put up 3 huge flip over charts in my living room. I stuck them against the wall, and I wrote down with big markers, keep calm and plan your road trip to Australia. And I grabbed a stack of Post-it notes, and I just started to sort of like empty my brain. You know, everything that I could come up with was in my brain with that idea. Like, okay, how would I travel? Where would I travel? How would I, you know, find friends? What would I do with my house? What would I do with my business? All these questions, you know, the what if questions, I just emptied my brain. And so there was this big flip over chart, all these Post-its, and I dumped my brain. It took me about 40 minutes or so. And then I sat on my couch and I looked at it and I was like, fuck it, I'm going. And I did. So 3 days later, I booked a ticket, because I thought if I don't do that, then I won't go. So I just booked a ticket, and then I started to inform my business partner and my parents and everybody else. They're like, oh, okay. So I booked a ticket for like 7 weeks later. So they gave me 7 weeks to get my stuff in order. And yeah, but yeah, it was the realization that the excuses that we say for not being able to do things are literally that, excuses. And if we're honest with ourselves, then, and nowadays I come to people and they say, yeah, it's easy because, you are single, you don't have kids. Yes, obviously that makes it all easier because the only person I'm responsible for is me. But hey, I'm meeting here families every single day who pick up their own family, young kids, older kids. Today I met with a couple and a 17-year-old. So it can totally be done if it is really what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I totally agree with you. Not as dramatic in terms of life changing, but I've been really nervous about, I've got a 3-year-old, and for the past kind of year, I'm like, I want to go on holiday, but I don't want to get on the plane with her. It's going to be too stressful. And a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, oh, no, I have to go on holiday. I need some sunshine. I'm going to have to book it, and we're just going to have to work it out. And if she cries on the plane, she cries. If she makes a fuss, it's a set period of time. I'll cope, and I can't keep making excuses. So I definitely agree with you about that. So
good for you.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it, actually. You said that you was running the management consultancy for 10 years. So prior to that, you were working in the corporate sector. And what was the impetus to leave the corporate sector and go it alone? And what kind of what were the steps that you took?
Yeah, it seems to be a pattern in my life because I resigned from my corporate job. I was doing really, really well. It was a great job, lots of potential, but I just didn't like it anymore. And for some reason, like my whole career, I've had to end stuff first before I can begin something new. Like a lot of people go look for a new job before they resign, right? That's not me. So when I was a marketing director at the company and the exhibition organizer in the Netherlands, and I felt like I was done. I was with that company for over a decade, and I climbed the corporate ladder. There was not much else. There was enough opportunity within the job, but not much else beyond it. And I was just tired, and I thought, this is not it. I don't want to do this anymore. So one morning in January, I was walking in the office and I was passing my CEO's office, and he called me and he says, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while. How are you doing? I said, I don't know. I think I should quit. And he's like, what? And I was like, what? I didn't know I was going to say that. And he said, are you sure? I said, I don't know. I don't know. But I remember walking outside. I went outside after that chat because we said, okay, obviously you have something to ponder over. So take your time. And I remember walking outside and felt so liberated. I felt so free. I was like, okay, obviously there's something here. So literally 4 days later, I resigned. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't intend to become an entrepreneur whatsoever. In fact, I always said I'm never going to be one because I need the security of a paycheck. But then I quit and I resigned, and I was finishing up my MBA at the time. So I took a few months to finish up my thesis. And then I started to call my network because I was in the exhibition industry for a long time. So I knew a lot of people outside of the company. I started to call them. And then everybody asked, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. And then one of them said, okay, great. Do you have time to do a job for me, like a project? I said, sure. So I registered as a sole proprietor, and that's how my entrepreneurial journey basically started. And I haven't looked back since. Yeah. And now I cannot even imagine going back to work for an employer. That would be horrible.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah,
I love that story because you're really right. Like, so it's like you get bored or you don't like something, you make the decision, you do it, and then you move on to the next thing.
And it's basically, I guess there's this absolute trust that something will show up in your life if you just make space.
Mm-hmm. Where does that
don't stay stuck in something you don't like, because it depletes your energy. You won't get any happier. So, and I guess I always had faith, and it always has, that the moment you sort of like close the door, another one opens. There's this saying, I think, even, and that has been true for me every single time. So, yeah.
Where does that faith and that core belief that it's all going to work out, where does that come from for you?
I have no idea, because my dad was in the army and my mom was a teacher. So public servants all the way. So no entrepreneurial mindset. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I really don't know. And I didn't even know I had it. I just did it.
I
don't know. Just did it.
retrospectively that like actually it always does work out.
It always does work out. Yeah. I'm currently in a transformational coaching program, and my coach, he said he has this mantra he lives by, which is everything always has been, everything always is, and everything always will be just fine. And this is, well, at least it's been true for me. Yeah.
So going back to the future, coming forward with your business in Bali and the work you've been doing in Bali. Obviously, you were in a completely new environment. How did you build your client base? What were the steps that you took? And also, not only how did you build your client base, what were some of the challenges that you faced along the way?
Yeah. So in May 2017, I when I was back in the Netherlands to sort out my business in order to establish a new business and a new life in Bali, I flew back with 3 decisions. Decision number 1 was I'm going to start a business that serves social entrepreneurs. So that is my new client group. I'm going to start an online business so it allows me to have a location independent lifestyle. And I'm going to start a business with a recurring revenue model. So I'm not going to sell my time anymore, because with time zones, that wasn't going to work. So that's all I knew back then, like 2 years ago. That's all the decisions. I only made decisions about the parameters. And then when I came back to Bali, I just started to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this? And my first order of business, I'm a marketer. I'm a customer, like my management consulting firm was all about customer centricity. So I always start any entrepreneurial journey, whether it's my own or whether I work with my customers, I always start with the why and the who. Meaning why do you want this? You know, what's this deeper urge inside of you? Why you want to build this business? And the second, not what are you going to do? Who's it for? So I knew I want to work with social entrepreneurs. So I just figured I need to get to know them, because I knew 2 at the time. That's hardly enough foundation to build a business on. Mm-hmm. So my first order of business was to find them and not to sell something to them, but to understand them. So I connected with a lot of groups online, like Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, just to start conversations in order to learn. And I enrolled in an online course, Start Your Own Social Enterprise, because I figured, okay, there will be more social entrepreneurs in there, and I just wanted to connect with them. And my one way to connect with them was I started this project where, because I really wanted to have deep, meaningful conversations with them about what they were struggling with and what they needed, and really deep, not just superficial stuff. So I decided, in order for them to give me that information, I want to give something in return. So I thought, okay, maybe there are more people like me who are working in the commercial sector, have skills, but are also, maybe find it sometimes a little bit meaningless. So what if I message my LinkedIn network, which is all corporate people, and I ask them, okay, are you willing to volunteer 1 hour every 2 weeks to become a mentor for a social entrepreneur? I'll match you guys up. And that allows me to really have a deep interview with a social entrepreneur, because I need that information in order to match with a mentor. So that's what I did. And within like 2 weeks, I had 45 mentors signed up, because my network was like, yeah, sure, that's fun. And so over the my first 4 months of starting my business was purely investing in understanding my new client group. So that's what I did for about 3 to 4 months. I matched 21 social entrepreneurs with a mentor, and I enrolled in that course. And in that course, I met Josh, which was my business, which I started Impact Business Space with. He's now, he moved on to something else, but he already had a network. So that helped me obviously to get to understand the social entrepreneurial world a little bit faster, because he was introducing me to a ton of people. And then over the course of those months, I started to understand their pain points, what their biggest problems were. And it was so funny, because what is sort of like the gift of the commercial sector, which is the ability and the confidence to sell, was somewhat lacking in the social entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
And I figured, okay, that's what I can bring to them. And then I decided, okay, so I formed my vision for my business, for Impact Business Space. I shaped it whilst having those interviews. And then my second step was to create a strategy for my new online business. Like I said, 3 decisions: online and recurring revenue for social entrepreneurs. So I took about 6 weeks to create a strategy, to really draw, write up a vision for an online membership community, because that's what it was, what it became, to really create values and, the model, like what value I'm going to give for these social entrepreneurs. And then we took 6 months, because I approached Josh, say, hey, do you want to do this with me? And he said yes. And then we took 6 months to really prep, and we launched last year, May. So literally 1 year after I made those 3 decisions, I launched, and we attracted the first 26 founding members. Because over that full year, I took the time to connect and build sort of like an audience. And that's what we launched too. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. How did you live financially whilst building?
How do I what?
How were you generating income for yourself whilst you was in that building process?
2 ways basically. One, I lived off of savings, because I did really well in the other business. So that allowed me, because I was planning for a year sabbatical without income. So that was planned either way. And in Australia, and then, when you plan for a year in Australia and you end up in Bali, you can live like 1 month Australia is like 4 months Bali in terms of cost of living. So that was fortunate. But from sort of like 6 months in, I started to take one-on-one private clients. So VIP clients. So I connected with those social entrepreneurs. And so that's been the second source of income. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What has been the hard, and this goes from your first business all the way up to now, what do you say has been the greatest lesson that you've learned and the hardest challenge that you've overcome?
The greatest lesson that I've learned is that we are our own best or worst advocate. Success starts here and here. Like, if you believe it, if you can see it, you can create it. But if we're our worst friends, if we allow our monkey mind to take over, because we all have that voice in our head that's full of doubt and insecurity, and like, is this doable? Can I do it? Will I be able to attract clients? I'm afraid. What if I can't make the money? That those, like, and if we're not careful, that's ongoing forever and ever and ever. And if we start to listen to that voice, we're screwed. We're really screwed, because we start to identify with that voice, but that voice is not the real us. That voice is just our monkey mind. It's not the real us. We are actually observing that voice, so it can be us. But stop learning how to stop listening to it, and instead putting more empowering messages in that monkey mind. Like feeding it with confidence, messages of confidence, and say, no, I can do it, or even I can learn. I may not have the answers right now, but the answer is figure-outable, as Marie Forleo says. Everything is figure-outable. So we can always learn. So that is the biggest lesson, to learn how to shut down or put that monkey mind into the background and fully express your own confidence and learn how to be confident, because I really believe success starts here, not in tactics, not in strategies. It's all in inner work. So that is the biggest lesson. The biggest challenge. That's a hard one. Because I literally learned myself not to. My mind doesn't go there anymore, in the sense that not to look at challenges, but just to look at them as learning opportunities. Obviously, I had to learn a heck of a lot in terms of online tech. I didn't know how to build a website. I had no idea. I had no idea about Facebook ads or all that stuff. My previous business was word of mouth mostly. We had big corporate clients, and it was all relationship and word of mouth. And now I'm in the online space. So you'll learn about online launches, and there's so much new stuff to learn. And in the beginning, that can be quite overwhelming. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to learn? But again, it starts here. And if you just take it slowly, one day at a time, and that is, I guess, the biggest thing you have to be if you want to succeed. If you have to be committed, You have to be committed to doing the work, showing up, not put yourself down. If you have a day that is shitty, and we all have those days, then just allow them, and then say, okay, but next day I'm going to get back up and try again. There's no such thing as failing. There's only learning. So that is, teaching yourself that, and then together with like ongoing commitment, and that's for social entrepreneurs like us. I think sometimes it's easier because that internal drive to see that positive change in the world, that's so big, and that's like your internal motivator. So, yeah.
Thank you. Speaking of, no, I love that answer, because sometimes you can get caught up in, oh my gosh, there's so many terrible things that happen. But actually, it's a really good way of thinking of just, actually, I've had a lot of lessons. I think that's a much better way of looking at it. So, as I've mentioned before that I previously ran a social enterprise, and with the clients that I work with, who are social enterprises or impact businesses, there's a lot of recurring things that I see. What are some of the main challenges that you see some of the social enterprises or entrepreneurs that you work with that they face, and what would you say is the best piece of advice you could give to a social entrepreneur?
Obviously, I work with them in the realm of the commercial side of their business. That is my specialty, so to speak, and that's obviously my experience. So those are the challenges that I face the most. Like I know a lot of them will also face like impact measurement and type of that, but that's not stuff that I guide them with or help them with. So in the commercial area, so that's everything marketing and sales related, a lot of it is just mindset, in the sense that mindset and a combination of skills. There's a lot of, how shall I put this? Like a lot of commercial or selling is bad, or it's dirty or it's sleazy, and I blame Hollywood, like Wolf of Wall Street, come on, not helping. But so I'm helping them a lot with reframing their thinking around sales, that I see sales as serving, that if you just help people get what they want, honestly, with integrity, authentically, then that's a perfectly normal way of selling. Another challenge is associated with this one is everything that has to do with rates and pricing, because they tend to, undervalue themselves or their services greatly, which I think is a shame. Or also, and that is that's not so much a challenge, but it's a mistake I see a lot of social entrepreneurs make, is when they do go out and market, they sort of like sell the cause. Meaning there's a lot of advertisement around the cause, and sort of like they almost act like nonprofits, meaning they think the cause will sell, the cause will sell the products. And I always say, no, in a commercial area, you have to serve your customer first and foremost. So whatever it is you have to offer, the value has to be recognized by your customer. So, and the cause is sort of like a supporting actor in the show. But it's the customer who's the hero, and your product or your solution is the guide, your service is the solution for your customer's problem or his needs, and then your cause is a supporting actor, but not the other way around. And that always, because a lot of them are desperate because they've been sharing their messages, and then they say, and it's all about the cause, and then like, why is nobody buying? Why does nobody care? Why is nobody interested? And they are almost disappointed. I said, well, yeah, because, the fact that you care deeply about this cause doesn't mean that your customer does as well. Like Tom's shoes, which is, like one of the poster childs, I think, of a successful, sustainable social enterprise. The shoes, if the shoes sucked, nobody would buy them. You got to make sure that the shoes are good and that they're nice and that they're, hip and trendy and comfortable and all of those aspects, because people buy the shoes and then they feel good about themselves because it also gives back. But if the shoes were horrible, nobody would buy them. And, you cannot just sell on the cause. So so a lot of mindset around sales and making money blocks, big problem with social entrepreneurs. Money is the root of all evil. That's what you sometimes hear. Or very resistant towards spending money on anything as well, on spending money on, good marketing tools, or on advice, even mentoring or coaching, because they like, oh, it has to go to my cause. I cannot spend it. But you have to adopt an entrepreneurial mindset first and foremost. And if there are tools, or if there's guidance or courses or mentoring or consultancy out there that gets you to your result faster or cheaper or with less frustration, then do it.
I'm going to put that little bit out, and I'm going to put that on my social media, because it's so true. And it's so funny, because you're completely on the other side of the world, but it's exactly the same thing that I experience here with social enterprises. And as I said, I ran a social enterprise before, and all of the challenges and the mistakes that you've just mentioned, I made all of them. So I consistently undervalued myself. I consistently kind of tried to sell the cause as opposed to the service that we were offering. I consistently didn't spend on coaching or mentoring and that kind of thing. Everything that you've said really resonates, and it's something that I try to always share with my social enterprise clients, and particularly the issue around the money mind block. So profit. When I had a client that I was working with the other day, who I was saying, you need to be able to make a profit surplus. And she was like, oh, I can't, because I can't do that. But why? If you don't make any surplus, how does the business grow? How does it carry on? And actually, how do you then continue to make impact? So really resonate with everything that you've just said. And it's just so interesting that wherever you are in the world, it's a similar issues. So if you are a social entrepreneur watching this, please take note, because that's some really important stuff.
I always, we adopt, the more money you can make, the more impact you can make. It's that simple. And in order for you to make more money, you gotta have the entrepreneurial mindset and drop the charitable or nonprofit mindset for a minute, because it's just going to burn you out. It's just going to burn you out. I see too many burnt out social entrepreneurs who have such big hearts and want to give before they are able to give.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's just a candle who slowly burns out. And then you're not doing anybody a service. You're not doing yourself a service, and you're not making the impact you want to make. So it's like, the flight attendants in the plane, they always say, when the pressure drops and the masks come out, you have to attend to yourself first before you put the mask on your kid. This is the same thing, attend to yourself and your business first, and then you can give much, much more to your beneficiaries.
110%. In every area. So 3 pieces of advice you'd give to somebody that's watching, that wants to start a social enterprise, maybe have been toying around with the idea for a while and hasn't necessarily made that leap. What are 3 pieces of advice you would give to them?
Well, first of all, get crystal clear on why you want to do this. And I always give my customers, this is like a summary version, but I give them sort of like a sentence structure. Like a fill-in thing. I want to see a world where, and there you insert sort of like your vision for the world. What do you deeply care about? What change do you want to see in this world? Then secondly, because, why do you want to see that change in the world? And usually that's a personal story. There's something that you've interacted with, something you saw, something your eyes were opened and you cannot close them again. But why? Because that makes it relatable. And then the second bit is, and I'm going to contribute to turning this into a reality through, and this is sort of like your business idea. Then start there, start filling in those pieces. Like, what is my bigger why? Why do I want to do this? Because that's ultimately what will keep you going. And then the first 2 things you want to get in order before anything else is, who do you want to serve? And I mean, that answer can have that question can have 2 answers, because I always distinguish your community of service and your community of customers. So your community of service are the beneficiaries, and the community of customers are your paying customers. Now, they can be the same if you sell something to your beneficiaries, but for a lot of people, they're not. So who do you want to serve? And then with your community of customers, that's where we go deeper. Don't try to be something for everybody. Try to niche down, try to be specific. And then what do you want to serve them with? And the what question can only be answered if you really understand the who. You really go deep inside their needs and their desires. And I'm looking at this is my reusable water bottle. And I want to use it as an example because this is a Dutch social enterprise. It's called Dapper. And the founder, 10 years ago, he was walking on the beach every single night with his girlfriend, romantic, and more he saw these plastic water bottles, and he was like annoyed, like they should clean this up, until he realized, yeah, there's no they, it's us. And he got it in his head, I want to see a world where there's no single plastic water bottle anymore. So I'm going to create a reusable water bottle company. He had no production background, no product background, nothing. He used to run events. But every week he had a case of Evian water, the plastic Evian, delivered because his girlfriend drank those at the time. I'm talking like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. And when one day he was at the office of his girlfriend, he saw that it was a marketing office, he saw that all the women there drank the same Evian bottle. But what he saw was after they drank it, they stood up, went to the tap and filled it. So he was like, it's not about the water, it's just about the bottle. So he made a decision. I'm going to start a reusable water bottle company, but it's going to be a design that women, high executive, hip, trendy marketing women are proud of carrying around. And that is what I mean with who. He didn't choose to just create a product and then, okay, anybody who wants it can buy it. He designed it very specific for a niche audience, very specific. And then he got a designer in with that specific customer profile. And that is what I always say to people who start with the who. Start with who. For who is it for? Because the more you can tune into that, the more you can empathize with that person, the more you can understand his or her needs or challenges, the better you can come up with a solution that is perfect. And then your whole messaging, your branding, your storytelling, everything is easy because it starts with who you're doing it for. So that is what I would say.
That's making me think I need to go around and really focus on, okay, I can't work with everyone. And I say it because I say it to my clients, but sometimes there is the tendency, well, actually, I've worked with these people and they liked it, so maybe I should work with them too. Because I think what you've actually, even though you didn't say it, but what you've reminded me is to do as I say, not as I do. So stop doing the opposite of what I say, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do what I tell other people to do is what I need to do, which is to focus and drill down on my who, which I don't think I've been doing that well recently. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
If
You're
people
welcome.
want to find out more about you and your business, where can they go to do that?
They can go to www.impactbusinessbase.com. Impactbusinessbase from homebase.com. And that's my website. I do run an online group coaching program, and we're only open for new members twice a year. But in the meantime, you can hop on the wait list or follow us on social media, Impact Business Base on Facebook, and then I'll announce when we open up again, or I'll send you emails in between once every week with some things to get you started in between that we're not open.
Fabulous. It's been really, really enlightening speaking to you. And thank you so much for sharing so many real gems that I think people are going to find really useful. And if there's anything that has been said, as I always say during this interview, please leave a comment and just tell us what really stood out for you and what key takeaways are you going to go and implement for yourself or in your business. And again, if you haven't already done so, please click the like button and share, because I think that we need to start sharing these stories, these experiences, these pieces of advice from women like yourself that have really got something powerful to say. So thank you so much for taking part, and thank you at home for watching.
Thank you.